Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at your work week forecast for the first week of the new year, January 3rd to the 7th. And looks like we're going to turn a little more wintry and also have a chance to see a little bit of snow or sun this week. And at the end of the week, we're going to have a big storm that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Not a guarantee that we're going to get hit by the storm, but definitely the chance for a big snowstorm. We're a little too early to tell, and I'm going to show you why we're a little too early to tell, and also explain to you basically the two scenarios, one of which brings us a lot of snow, one of which brings us almost no snow. So that's sort of your preview for what's coming in the next couple of minutes as we take a look at the forecast. First of all, today we have a storm south of us that bringing quite a bit of snow to the D.C. area, Baltimore, both under winter storm warnings. This is all sliding south and east of us. We'll see a few clouds this morning that'll spill over from this. Although those clouds will start to break up, and we actually will see some sun today. But in general, this storm is sliding well to our south and east, and so no snow, not even any really flurries or anything like that out of this storm. But bringing some snow to the mid-Atlantic, reminding us that winter is actually a thing. Also, our temperatures here across the Northeast have reminded us of that this morning as we're down in the teens. And we really won't move. We'll go up a couple degrees maybe today, but it's going to be cool, chilly, even seasonably chilly out there today. Although it won't be a real cold week, as you'll see coming up. Also, as we take a look at the satellite, you'll notice to the west of this storm, not a lot going on across the center of the country, and that's going to basically mean that we don't have anything really going on weather-wise from a significant standpoint till the end of the week. We will have a few clouds that move in, but tomorrow we should have almost quite a bit of sun tomorrow. Could be a few clouds around still, but sunniest day we've had basically since before Christmas. And then Wednesday we do have a few clouds that will come through as this storm sort of redevelops and goes mostly to our north and west. Overnight Wednesday into Thursday could even have a few flurries, but basically no real impact from weather for that. Before finally this storm offshore here is what's going to give us the potential for our storm on Friday. So let's take a look at why the storm on Friday, why we aren't really able to lock in yet on whether or not we're actually going to get snow. So first of all, here's your look. As you'll see, all the energy, this is all the energy, several different pieces of this, and I'm going to show you just exactly how many pieces of this in a second, but all these pieces of energy here of this storm off the Pacific Northwest coast, it's all offshore, and so we talked about this off and on over time, but until a storm is able to be sampled really well, and that doesn't happen until we put a lot of balloons up into it, we can do a lot of stuff with satellite imagery and using different wavelengths of infrared energy to figure out exactly what's going on in the atmosphere, but they're still not as good as balloons. Balloons are much better, and we don't send balloons up over the ocean. That's why when we have a hurricane, they do drop sounds, which are sort of the opposite of a balloon. They go from the top down, and they drop the drop sound down so that we can get this atmosphere really well sampled over the ocean. But we don't do that for winter storms. So there's a ton of energy out here. We have some idea of what's going on based on a lot of satellite data, but not balloons yet. And so until this comes on shore, which really won't happen for the next day or so, are the models really going to be able to lock in on it? And so we've had models that have been very consistent, but there's a couple of schools of thought as to what that very consistent model evolution is going to do in terms of whether we get snow or not. Let me show you a satellite imagery. This is so here's British Columbia here. Here's Alaska to your northeast. Look at all the little swirls we've got going on within this bigger piece of a big well-developed storm here across the Pacific Northwest. Or I guess it'd be the northeastern Pacific Ocean, I should say. But you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 or 6 other little swirls in here. And so, of course, how exactly this is going to evolve is, first of all, we're too far out really to know exactly how this is going to evolve, even if we had it really well sampled. And also, it's not in a place where we get really well sampled. So anybody who's telling you that they know what's going to happen this Friday is basically not being honest with what the uncertainty in the forecast is. But the models want to evolve this basically in two separate ways. So the first. The American model has been pretty consistent over the last 2 to 3 days of wanting to develop the storm a little further south. The trough is a little flatter, not quite as sharp a trough, and so the storm kind of slides off the coast of the Carolinas and then slides well out to sea and basically gives us no snow. Maybe southeastern New England sees a little bit of light snow. Scenario 2, which the European model has been incredibly consistent about, and the Canadian model has very much for the last day. The European model's been basically very consistent about this for the last 4 or 5 days, really. And then the Canadian model has been somewhat consistent over the last couple of days. Basically takes the storm a little bit further north. The trough is a little bit sharper. So typical storm track here kind of comes up over West Virginia, starts to die, transfers its energy off the coast, redevelops into a pretty strong storm, and comes right up over Cape Cod, which would be a very favorable snow track for us. We'd be looking at a lot of snow out of a storm track like that. And right now, it's really kind of tough to say who's going to win this battle. Probably within the next 24 hours, we'll be a lot more locked in, although my guess is we probably won't really know for sure till later in the week. We'll probably have an idea of whether it's going to really be a flat trough and head kind of out to sea and give us no impact. But then what will happen as we get closer, this will happen, and then the details won't really matter, or it'll take the inland track or the closer to the coast track, and the details will start to matter a lot. So whether it takes, whether it jogs, stays basically right on the track I've got it now, or it jogs a little bit east or a little bit west, will determine things like, is it all snow? Do we mix in some sleet? Or are we in the heaviest part of the snow band, or is that south and east of us? And all those details, it's way too early to tell. Realistically, we should maybe have hopefully an idea on the difference between these two tracks by about tomorrow, and then we can start to get those details in by probably Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, realistically. So basically I'm telling you there's a chance for a big storm, but also nowhere near locked in yet. So we'll have to see. So as we get to the forecast, because that's about the best we can do on that, 5-day forecast, we say not super active. We're cold today in the teens, coldest day we've had, especially for a high temperature in quite some time. Tomorrow morning is cold. We warm up a little bit during the day as we're in the mid-20s. Wednesday's our warmest day of the week. Tuesday's our sunniest. Wednesday's our warmest day of the week, but we'll be back in the clouds on Wednesday. Although not as warm as it looked like we might get when we were looking at the forecast last week at this time. We're going to be up in the mid to upper 30s. Overnight, few flurries. Thursday, it cools back off a little bit. We're cloudy, kind of in between the two storms. I don't think we'll really get a peak of snow in there. And then Friday, there's the big question mark. It looks like we'll be in the 20s. It looks like right now the storm has a high likelihood of being, at the very least, mostly snow, although we'll have to see. Like I said, it's still a little too early to tell any details about it. But we'll just have to see. If the storm does come to fruition, could be a big snowstorm, or it could go out to sea. All right, outdoor activities. Today is a kind of a recovery day. Probably kind of a tough day to ski today, but they are making snow right now. It's good temperatures for making snow getting the groomers out there. They do amazing things. So after the rapid cool down, though, often the day after is a little tough. So kind of a tough day to ski today, but really good recovery day for the mountains. Tomorrow's probably best ski day we've had in a long time, almost a bluebird day, and it'll be a little chilly, but really good ski conditions probably, at least for given what we've had for weather lately. Seasonably warm and cloudy on Wednesday. Another pretty good ski day. Be a little soft, but not warm enough to really be a problem. Thursday's a good outdoor day. Cloudy, flat, light, but good to ski. And then Friday, like I said, we'll have to see on the snow. So I can't give you more details on the snow, but I want to be honest with you about where we're at in terms of what we can forecast at this point. And anybody who's kind of trying to be more specific about what might happen on Friday, they're just not quite knowing or not being honest with with the uncertainty that's in the atmosphere at the moment. If you enjoy these forecasts and they help you figure out what you want to do and you want to make sure that you don't miss any of them, I would encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That helps make sure that you don't miss any of my forecasts, and certainly like me on Facebook. I do have a Twitter feed as well, which you can follow. And then if you want to support financially what I do here at the West River Weather Guy, there's a link in the description below on the YouTube video that shows you, that tells you how to support my channel through Patreon, which is how I take donations in, essentially. And I want to give you a quick shout out to the people who do support my channel, these patrons, and thank them for their efforts in helping me upgrade my equipment, keep my subscriptions to all these models and things like that going, and also just help and support what we do here at the West River Weather Guy.